Harry was satisfied with the determination in Helen's voice. He couldn't wait to see Kim's reaction when Helen announced him as the successor tomorrow. The night passed by in the blink of an eye. It was finally February 12th, the day of the Cassidy Group's press conference. In the morning, Kim didn't see Stephen anywhere in the house. Is he really preparing a big present for me? As this thought crossed her mind, Kim couldn't help but smile. 3 years had passed since they married. She had never experienced the happiness of a newlywed couple, nor had she received a present on their anniversary. That was why she looked forward to what Stephen had prepared for her. As the hours passed, Stephen was still nowhere to be found. Before long, it was already noon, but he still didn't show up. Natalie knocked on the door to the bedroom. "Kim, did you change yet? The press conference will start at 2 p.m. You only have an hour before you have to leave the house. You can't be late on a day like today." "Got it. I'm changing now." That was what Kim said, but in reality, she was dialing Stephen's number. When the call didn't go through, she tossed the phone onto the bed in frustration. I can't believe he turned off his phone. Tears welled up in Kim's eyes as she crouched in the corner of the room. She couldn't stop the tears from running down her face. I'm so stupid. I shouldn't have expected anything from him. If he didn't want to give me anything for our anniversary, he could have just told me. Why did he have to make it sound like he'd prepared something and give me hope? He didn't even have to give me an expensive present. If he gave me a fruit or a flower, I would still be happy. 1 hour later, Kim emerged from the bedroom after applying her makeup and changing into a business casual outfit. Natalie was sitting at the table. She was dressed extravagantly, and she was wearing the rings she'd inherited from her family. "Where's your good-for-nothing husband?" "Whether he's here or not, what difference does it make?" Kim replied coldly. She had made up her mind. After today, she would divorce Stephen. At the Cassidy family's villa, Harry was fixing his tie in front of the mirror. "Today will be the turning point in my life. I'll make everyone remember that I'm the most talented in the Cassidy family." While Harry was looking at his appearance with confidence, his phone rang. It was his sister, Rebecca.
"Congratulations! After today, you'll officially be the successor of the Cassidy family. How are you planning to deal with Kim?"
Rebecca's voice was filled with excitement. With her brother as the head of the family, her status would naturally skyrocket. A sly smile appeared on Harry's face. "Don't worry, I'll chase her out of the family in front of all the reporters and make it so that she'll never be able to come back. Don't forget that Global Investment invested $500 million into Kim. Since that money is now ours, after Kim gets kicked out, no one will be able to force us to give it back. If Global Investment wants their money back, their only option will be to sue Kim. When that time comes, she'll no longer have the support of the Cassidy family, and she'll be in heavy debt." Soon it was 2 p.m., and it was time for the press conference to begin. Many reporters from the major media outlets in Los Angeles gathered at the Cassidy Group's conference room. Helen was sitting on the stage with Harry and Kim standing behind her.
"I'm very happy to have the honor of inviting all of my friends from the press here today. I would like to take this opportunity and announce 2 important matters regarding the Cassidy Group."
Helen stood up and looked around with an intimidating gaze before continuing.
"First off, the Cassidy Group has obtained a $500 million investment, and we will continue with the Century Garden project. As for the second announcement, I would like to formally introduce to you the successor of the Cassidy family."
Kim held her breath as she waited for Helen to announce the successor. When Kim looked around the room, she didn't see any sign of Stephen. The successor has to be me, she thought. If Helen didn't name her as the successor, and Stephen really had decided to leave her, she would have nothing left. Harry noticed that Kim was anxious. What's the use in being nervous now? Grandma made her decision a long time ago. He spoke like victory was already his. Before Helen could make the announcement, the host of the press conference interjected. "The CEO of Global Investment, Miss Keisha Daniels, is here to congratulate the Cassidy family." The reporters present were filled to the brim with excitement. Keisha Daniels was the new upstart in Los Angeles. Not only was she beautiful, she was highly capable in the business industry. It hadn't been long since she became the CEO of Global Investment, but she was already the center of attention. Kim was surprised to see Keisha. She recalled that it was Stephen who had helped set up a meeting for her and Keisha for the investment. Maybe Keisha was here because of Stephen. Kim scanned the crowd, but she didn't see him anywhere. Helen looked at Keisha as she came on stage. Keisha's arrival confirmed what Harry had said last night. This was a conspiracy between her and Stephen. They were planning to seize control of the Cassidy family. Miss Keisha, your unexpected visit has lit up the whole room. Keisha smiled as she casually took a seat. I'm here on behalf of my boss, and Global Investment has invested $500 million into the Cassidy Group. Of course, I should attend such a grand event. Harry laughed. That's ridiculous. When did Global Investment invest $500 million into the Cassidy Group? No one in the company has ever heard of this. He took out a document from his briefcase and held it up. But I do have this investment agreement that Kim gave us. She and Global Investment have already signed the contract. If you're here for the money, ask Kim for it. Harry's plan was progressing smoothly. Not only would Kim be forced to pay back the $500 million, she would also end up with huge debt. Keisha didn't have much of a reaction. It seemed like she had already predicted this outcome. Is the Cassidy family planning on shifting the responsibility onto Kim? I'm curious, is this your opinion or is it the head of the family's opinion? Helen gave Keisha a cold look. Our family only recognizes contracts. Keisha stood up and clapped her hands. That's a great motto. Only contracts will be accepted. Then please flip to the 3rd page of the contract. Read the 5th paragraph of Article 4 and take a look at what's written. Keisha was acting so calm that Harry was uneasy. He began to wonder if there was a problem with the contract. Harry quickly flipped through the contract to find the clause that Keisha was referring to. His eyes widened in surprise. As you can see, Miss Kim can only invest $500 million into her own company. Otherwise, Global Investment has the right to withdraw the investment. After we investigate, we'll know if Miss Kim has transferred the money into the Cassidy Group or not. And, since you already have a copy of our contract, that makes things easier for everyone. Your company is already informed. Helen frowned at Keisha's words. What are you talking about? Helen snatched the contract from Harry's hands and flipped through each page. As soon as she read the clause that Keisha had pointed out, she glared at Harry. Why did he even take out the contract? It was nothing to brag about. According to the contract, Kim could only use the $500 million investment for her own company. If Global Investment demanded their money back, the Cassidy Group would have to comply, unless Kim became the successor of the family. Keisha gestured to Helen. That reminds me, when I arrived, weren't you about to announce the successor? Please continue. Helen tightened her grip on her walking stick. Her hands were tied. She would have no choice but to name Kim as the successor. Harry started panicking. He never thought that Keisha would arrive in the middle of the press conference and ruin everything. Grandma, remember what I said yesterday? But Helen didn't say anything. Harry signaled to Rebecca with his eyes. She got the hint and tried to talk Helen out of it. Grandma, you can't give Kim the position. None of the members of our family will agree to it. The other members of the Cassidy family followed Rebecca's lead and called out their protests. Rebecca's right. Kim's husband is Stephen. If she becomes the successor, isn't that the same as giving her useless husband the company? Even without the $500 million investment, our Cassidy family will be fine. Grandma, our company has other profitable projects, and many elite families are our business partners. In a flash, Kim had become the target of public criticism. She was isolated, and there was nothing she could say to defend herself. Before the insults could spiral out of control, Keisha cleared her throat to get everyone's attention. Let me interrupt again. When you say elite families, are you referring to them? Keisha pointed to the entrance with a smile. The door opened, and 20 people rushed into the conference room. Isn't that the head of the #1 family in our city, Eric Heath? This is insane. Why would he attend the press conference of a small family like the Cassidy family? Am I seeing things? It's not just him. All of them are the heads of elite families in the city. This is crazy. They rarely show up in the same place at the same time. Their arrival will definitely make the headlines. The reporters could barely contain their excitement. They frantically pressed the shutter on their cameras as if they were afraid that they would miss out on capturing this incredible scene. Harry and Helen were at a loss for words. On a normal day, even if they were to beg these influential people for a meeting, they wouldn't have spared a glance in their direction. But today, they had all taken the initiative to visit their company. Not to mention, they were also treating the Cassidy family with respect. What exactly was going on? Was it possible that the Cassidy family had finally obtained the approval of the elite families in the city? In Helen's eyes, the Cassidy family had finally recovered from their crisis. She tossed her walking stick aside and stepped forward to greet them. She was afraid of being rude and missing the chance to welcome them. Contrary to Helen's expectations, all of them pretended like she was invisible. They walked past her and hurried over to Kim like they were afraid that they would be one step too late. They immediately congratulated Kim and expressed their wishes to ally with her and the Cassidy group. Miss Kim, I'm Eric Keith. Congratulations on becoming the successor of the Cassidy family. Starting today, my family and I would like to become partners with the Cassidy group. My family would also like to partner with your company. I know your position hasn't been officially announced yet, but if you don't end up becoming the successor, I'll be really disappointed. Miss Kim, I came today with a $200 million contract to congratulate you. Kim was in disbelief. She didn't recognize any of these people. Were they perhaps mistaking her for someone else? Suddenly, Kim came to a realization and looked at Keisha. Keisha noticed her gaze and smiled faintly. That was all the confirmation that Kim needed. Her mysterious patron was helping her, but why? Keisha went over to Helen and provoked her. Do you see it now? Everyone wants Miss Kim to be the successor. You won't let them down, right? Or do you think your family is more powerful than the elite families in the city? As if on cue, the heads of the elite families turned to Helen. There was a warning look on their faces, as if they were daring her to name someone other than Kim as the successor. It had only been 10 minutes since these 20 people arrived, but Helen looked like she'd aged 10 years. She took a deep breath and made her announcement.
The successor of the Cassidy family is Kim Cassidy.
Harry couldn't believe it. How could Kim have connections with the elite families of the city? He glared at Keisha. I know it was you. Keisha gave him a shrug. What did I do? You're overestimating me. They're just doing what my boss told them to do. Who exactly is he? You don't deserve to know. Keisha turned away from Harry and faced the crowd.
Does anyone have objections to Miss Kim becoming the successor?
Silence filled the room. The members of the family who had argued against Kim earlier were quiet. They didn't have the courage to say a single word. The 20 people on stage who were supporting Kim were too influential for them to say anything in protest. If they dared to speak out, their lives could be ruined in an instant. Kim was relieved when no one said anything. She had succeeded in becoming the successor of the Cassidy family. Thank you so much, Miss Keisha. I'm just doing my job. If you want to thank someone, you should thank my boss, Keisha whispered. Okay, please pass on my message. This was the second time that her mysterious patron had helped her out. Kim couldn't understand how a stranger could support her to this extent when her own husband was nowhere to be found. Even though Kim had become the successor of the family, she wasn't as happy as she would have been if Stephen had shown up. Rebecca couldn't accept this. The successor position should have been Harry's.
Kim, do you really think I don't know how you got this position? You're probably having an affair with the owner of Global Investment. I didn't expect you to sell your body just to get to a higher position. You're an embarrassment to our family.
After hearing Rebecca's accusations, everyone looked at Kim as if she'd done something shameful. Before Kim could defend herself, Keisha slapped Rebecca across the face. Insulting Kim was the same as insulting Stephen. Watch what you say. If you dare insult my boss again, it won't end with a simple slap. The heads of the elite families supported Keisha and Kim. They wouldn't let anyone disrespect Stephen and his people. That's right. If you continue to speak such nonsense, then be prepared to leave the city. Rebecca touched her swollen cheek in shock. Keisha ignored her and turned to Kim.
Miss Kim, our boss has prepared a gift for you.
Kim looked at Keisha in confusion. What gift was she talking about? Just then, the doors to the conference room opened once again. 4 men dressed in black walked inside. Someone in the crowd recognized the symbol on their uniforms. They're bodyguards from an international security company. There are rumors that they're specially trained, and their combative skills are top-notch. Hiring one bodyguard from their company would cost over $1 million. Everyone was stunned by this information. Who in the city had the means to spend more than $4 million to hire bodyguards to deliver a gift? The heads of the elite families had only heard of Stephen recently. It was like he had appeared out of nowhere. They wondered what kind of gift someone as capable as him could have prepared for Kim. The leader of the bodyguards went on stage and stood in front of Kim. "I'm here on behalf of my boss. He's prepared a special gift for you." The bodyguard held out an exquisite box. The members of the Cassidy family disapproved of Kim for selling her looks in exchange for the successor position. Is there even a need to guess who their boss is? It's obvious that her lover sent her the gift. I bet it's just a typical necklace, bracelet, or something along those lines. It's not worth the attention unless it's the Moon of the Nile. I highly doubt it's that expensive. If her lover can afford to buy her the Moon of the Nile, I would have heard everything I could to get him on my side. That necklace is worth $2 billion. It can't be compared to the $500 million investment from Global Investment. Keisha's secretary whispered, "Miss Keisha, do you have any guesses as to what gift our boss prepared for her?" Envy flickered in Keisha's eyes. A gift that can make all the women in the world go crazy. She wondered if Kim saved the world in her previous life to obtain such luck in marrying a husband like Stephen. Everyone's attention was on Kim, and one by one, the cameras focused on her. The crowd waited for her next move. Kim took the box and inspected the exterior. It was decorated with diamonds that glittered under the lights. Kim couldn't figure out why her mysterious patron had given her a gift today. There was nothing special about February 12th, other than the fact that it was her and Stephen's anniversary. One of the reporters felt like the box looked familiar, but he couldn't remember where he'd seen it before. Another reporter zoomed in on the box and realized what it contained. "I saw that box at the auction house. The Moon of the Nile is inside." The crowd couldn't believe what they had just heard. The top jewelry designer, Roman, was the one who had designed the Moon in the Nile. It was a masterpiece worth $2 billion. No one expected that they would have the opportunity of seeing this necklace in person today. Everyone held their breath as Kim slowly opened the box. This is impossible, Rebecca thought as she shook her head. She refused to believe that Kim, someone she'd looked down on for a long time, had received such a priceless necklace. The moment the box was opened, it felt like the entire conference room was a sea of lights. Kim blinked at the necklace inside the box. It really was the Moon of the Nile. Kim's heart raced with excitement. No woman could resist the charm of beautiful jewelry, and the Moon of the Nile was luxurious enough to make every woman go crazy just to get their hands on it. The necklace consisted of 28 Burmese rubies that were each decorated with diamonds. They resembled blossoming red flowers. At the center of the necklace was a beautiful jade in the shape of a moon. The Moon of the Nile was a fitting name for this magnificent necklace. The ladies in the crowd were in a frenzy. Its beauty is out of this world. The heads of the elite families couldn't believe their eyes. Stephen had dropped $2 billion for a necklace like it was pocket change. There had to be more to him than meets the eye. They were glad that they had decided to follow Stephen. Keisha stepped forward and picked up the necklace. "Let me help you put it on." The vibrant gems on the necklace accentuated Kim's beauty. The stage was like a scene straight out of a movie. Kim looked down at the necklace around her neck. "This gift is priceless. I can't possibly accept this." "Our boss said that you'd only have the right to wear this necklace," Keisha said with a smile. Rebecca doubled over in laughter. "Kim, did you really think you could purchase a fake Moon of the Nile to pretend like your family is wealthy? Everyone here knows that you're the poorest member of the Cassidy family. Even your lover is the owner of Global Investment. He won't be able to afford it." At that moment, the press conference was interrupted for the third time. Another guest burst into the room. "I'm so sorry for being late." Everyone turned to the door. Who is that? There was a well-dressed man standing at the entrance. An apologetic expression was on his face. One of the reporters thought the man looked familiar. Suddenly, a thought struck him. That's Roman, the designer of the Moon of the Nile. The crowd couldn't help but wonder if today was the luckiest day of their life. One after another, prominent figures were barging into the room. Rebecca smirked. Who would have thought that Kim would be ruined by her own lover?
Look, Kim, Mr. Roman hurried over because you forged his necklace. Let's see how you plan to clean up your mess.
Without waiting for Kim's response, Rebecca rushed over to him.
Mr. Roman, please don't be angry. That crazy woman, Kim, received a fake Moon of the Nile from who knows where. You should call the police and have them arrest her.
What nonsense are you talking about? Roman glared at Rebecca and walked past her. He went on stage and greeted Kim. Miss Kim, the Moon of the Nile suits you perfectly, as if it were made just for you. I heard you became the successor of the Cassidy family today. I came to congratulate you. I hope you don't mind that I came unannounced. The room fell silent. Rebecca was so embarrassed, her face flushed with red. Kim was excited to meet Roman in person. She'd always loved his beautiful designs. Are you really Mr. Roman, the person who designed this necklace? Yes, that's me. I didn't bring any gifts because I came to Los Angeles on such short notice, but I would like to give you this card. As long as you have this card with you, you can pick anything you like from my company, free of charge. Roman respectfully held out a black and gold card. Not only was he a famous jewelry designer, he was also the CEO of a famous jewelry store. The ladies were jealous as they fixed their gaze on the card. They wished they could take Kim's place on the stage. Kim hesitated to take the card. Every piece of jewelry sold by Roman's company was a rare treasure. Your gift is too valuable. I can't accept it. Roman looked nervous when Kim rejected his card. He knew that the person who had won the bid at the auction house for his necklace had connections with the Grand Palace Master. He couldn't afford to get on the bad side of the palace. Miss Kim, please accept this. Otherwise, I'll have no choice but to get on my knees. When Kim didn't say anything, Roman bent down. Just as he was about to kneel, Kim stopped him and took the card. Wait, there's no need for that. I'll accept your gift. Roman thanked her before hurrying out of the room, as if he were afraid that she would go back on her word.
Just who are you?
Rebecca exclaimed. The heads of the elite families were supporting Kim, and she had even received a $2 billion necklace as a gift. Not only that, Roman, the CEO of a world-renowned jewelry company, was treating her like she was someone important. Was this the same Kim they all knew? Who exactly is the owner of Global Investment? Why is he helping you? Harry demanded. He was supposed to be the main character of today's press conference, but Kim had stolen his spotlight. Helen was also curious.
Kim, tell me the truth. Who's the owner of Global Investment? Why would he give you such a precious gift?
I don't know either, Kim answered honestly. All she knew about her mysterious patron was that he was from the Addams family in Washington, D.C. She'd never met him before. Helen decided to drop the conversation because she thought that Kim was deliberately hiding the truth from her. The reporters looked at Kim as if she had been given access to a huge treasure trove. It was worth it to come all the way here today. I thought the press conference of a small family wouldn't be that interesting, so I almost didn't come. Me too. Today's news can be compared to a year's worth of news. Everything that happened will make the headlines. My heart is pounding just thinking about it. I wonder if today's surprises will end here. Keisha held Kim's arm and whispered, "Please follow me. My boss has one last gift for you." Kim's eyes widened. There's more? Keisha noticed Kim's hesitation, so she tried to persuade her.
Yes, I hope you can come with me. It's better if you see it in person.
Kim thought it over and decided to go. She hoped that she'd be able to meet her mysterious patron later and return the Moon of the Nile to him. The reporters exchanged a glance as they watched Kim and Keisha leave the conference room. My sixth sense tells me that there will be more news waiting for us if we follow them. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go! In an instant, the reporters rushed out of the room. Eric turned to the other head of the elite families. It's been a while since it was this lively. Let's go with them. A few moments later, Helen and the members of the Cassidy family were the only ones left in the conference room. Harry clenched his fists. Grandma, we should go too. I want to see the face of Global Investment's owner. Why would he help someone like Kim? Everyone gathered on the first floor of the Cassidy Group. One by one, Rolls-Royce Phantoms pulled up in front of the company in an orderly fashion. Keisha led Kim to the first car.
Please get in.
Kim scanned the luxury cars piling down the street. This unbelievable scene was familiar. Last week, 20 Rolls-Royce Phantoms were here to pick up Steven. Kim was suspicious of her patron's identity, but she didn't ask any questions. Eric let out a sigh. These cars are probably worth my company's profits for the next 10 years. Rebecca held Helen's arm to support her.
Grandma, Kim's disrespecting you. There are so many cars, but she didn't arrange one for you.
Helen's expression darkened.
No matter how powerful she is, in the end, she's still a member of the Cassidy family. She wouldn't dare to abandon us.
Everyone in the city was shocked when they witnessed a long line of luxury cars pass through the streets. No one paid attention to the less luxurious cars that followed behind. In one of the Cassidy family's cars, Helen looked out the window.
It feels like I've been on this road before. Where are we going?
If my guess is right, we should be on our way to the villas at the highest point in the city, Harry said. He felt uneasy. Could it be that the owner of Global Investment was the same person who purchased the villas? Harry didn't voice his thoughts, but Helen came to the same conclusion. The villa at the very top was similar to a legend that only existed in rumors. Anyone who had the means to live there could not be ordinary. They were most likely from a high-class family with incredible power and influence. Helen had always wanted to make the Cassidy family worthy of living at this villa. Rebecca's eyes were filled with jealousy.
There's nothing amazing about that. She's married, but she's not ashamed even after having an affair. I'm younger than Kim, and I'm not married yet. If that super-rich owner of the villa sees me, he'll definitely fall in love.
Helen didn't reply, but she was thinking about Rebecca's words seriously. Whoever managed to obtain the favor of such a wealthy person had the qualifications to become the head of the Cassidy family, and they would also have the Moon of the Nile. No, they would have the entire city of Los Angeles in their grasp. Harry noticed the cars change direction up ahead. Eric's car is turning around. Is he not going in? When Harry rolled down the window, he was surprised to see that it wasn't just Eric's car. All of the cars in front of them had turned around. In the car, Eric rolled down the window and spoke to the other heads of the elite families. This is so unexpected. A few days ago, this was our home, but now it's hard to even enter. Everyone heard Eric's voice, and they understood the situation. They were denied entry by the new owner of the villas. Grandma, should we turn around and leave? Eric's the head of the Heath family, and even he can't go in. I doubt they'll let us enter, Harry said. He felt like there was suddenly a huge gap between him and Kim. Helen slammed her walking stick on the floor.
That's nonsense. I'm not like the rest of them. I'm Kim's grandmother. She wouldn't dare to refuse me. As long as I'm alive, she has to listen to me.
Helen was confident that Kim wouldn't turn her away at the gates. Just as the Cassidy family's cars were about to enter, they were intercepted by several security guards. The owner has ordered that no one is allowed to enter. Rebecca stepped out of the car.
But I just saw Kim going in.
Only Miss Kim and her family, along with Miss Keisha, are allowed to enter. Helen used her old age to her advantage.
Excuse me, I'm Kim's grandmother. If you refuse to let me in, you'll be disrespecting the elderly.
The security guards didn't budge. Regardless of your age and your relationship with Miss Kim, you're nothing more than an outsider. Meanwhile, in one of the luxury cars, Kim was looking at the scenery outside the window. Miss Keisha, why did you bring me here? Keisha flashed a smile. You'll know very soon. Not too long after, their car stopped at the entrance of the villa at the very top. Miss Kim, this is the last gift from my boss. This villa is all yours. Kim was shocked beyond words. Ever since she was a little girl, living in one of the villas at the highest point in the city had been her dream. And now, not only was her patron giving her one of the villas, it was the villa at the very top. Kim had never told anyone about her dream, except Steven. Where did her super-rich patron hear about it? Keisha could tell that Kim was doubtful, so she took out a folder and gave it to her. It's true, but if you don't believe me, please take a look at this document. Kim was suspicious as she opened the folder. As soon as she took out the document, her heart skipped a beat. The very first page stated, Kim Cassidy is the property owner. Kim couldn't believe her eyes. Her mysterious patron seemed like he could make anything happen. Miss Keisha, when did I become the owner of this villa? Why didn't I know about this? Miss Kim, the only thing you need to know is that this villa is yours. No, I can't accept this. Please return this certificate to your boss. I'll be leaving first, Kim said as she put the document back into the folder. It was her dream to live here, but she wanted to obtain the property certificate through her own efforts. If she accepted the certificate, it would be the same as her receiving the villa for free. Moreover, she was Stephen's wife. She couldn't accept such a lavish gift from a man she didn't know. Regardless of the issues in their marriage, she would be faithful to Stephen no matter what. Just as Kim held out the folder to Keisha, someone snatched it from her hands at the speed of light. Natalie took a step back and clutched the folder close to her chest. Kim, what are you doing? This villa is priceless. Not just anyone can live here. The reason Natalie could enter the gates was because Stephen had shown pictures of his family to the security guards. He had instructed them to let them pass if they saw them. Mom, this isn't ours. You can't take the certificate. Kim tried to dissuade Natalie, but she was determined. I don't care. Your name is on the certificate, so this house is ours from now on. As long as their family lived in this villa, no one would dare look down on them. Kim and Natalie were at an impasse, so Keisha decided to intervene. Miss Kim, how about we go inside and take a look? There's a digital keypad on the door. As for the passcode, my boss said that you would know what it is. This piqued Kim's curiosity. She walked away from Natalie and went to the keypad. I know the passcode? Natalie was nervous as she stared at Kim. She was worried that if Kim pressed the wrong numbers, they would lose the villa. Who's your boss? He gave this house to Kim, but he didn't even provide her the passcode? Kim looked at the keypad intently. She had a guess, but she wasn't sure. Whatever the outcome was, it wouldn't hurt to try. Kim punched in the combination, 0212. The keypad beeped and the door was unlocked. Kim was astonished. Her wealthy patron had set the passcode to the date of her and Stephen's anniversary. What exactly was going on? Natalie grinned. It looks like Kim and your boss share the same mind. The mysterious boss, who spent this much effort to please Kim, had to be interested in her. When Kim opened the door, an aroma of flowers filled the air. She peered inside, and her gaze immediately fell on the sea of flowers on the floor. They were tulips, her favorite flower. Kim felt she was walking into a beautiful fairy tale. The fragrance of the flowers was intoxicating. Did your boss arrange this room? Yes, Keisha replied. She was moved by Kim and Stephen's romance. Piano music started playing in the room. It was her favorite composition from Chopin. Did your boss also choose the music? Keisha didn't know why Kim was asking these questions. Yes, he did. Kim walked around the room. She was brimming with excitement. Everything was falling into place. Today was her and Stephen's anniversary, and her mysterious patron had specifically chosen today of all days to give her a gift. Not to mention, her patron had helped her out several times before. Her patron could only be one person. These tulips, this piano piece, the style of the couch, the color of the curtains, and the murals on the walls. Even the tiles on the floor are in my style. I have one last question. I hope you can answer me honestly. Kim turned around and looked Keisha in the eye. Is your boss Stephen Adams? Keisha covered up her panic with a smile. Stephen Adams? Isn't he your husband? How could he be the owner of Global Investment? Kim flushed with embarrassment. How could she have forgotten? Keisha was right. During the 3 years of their marriage, Stephen had been incompetent and a pushover. He had never given her anything for their anniversary. How could he be a wealthy owner of 21 villas? Okay, Miss Kim, don't think too much. When the time is right, my boss will come find you. Who knows, maybe he's someone right by your side. Keisha's heart was pounding. This wouldn't be considered as exposing Stephen's identity, right? Anyway, I have something else to do, so I'll be leaving now. After Keisha left in a hurry, Natalie pulled Kim to the couch. Tell me the truth. Who's the owner of Global Investment? These villas are worth $2.3 billion in total, and he bought all of them. Isn't this a sign that he's interested in you? If Kim divorced that good-for-nothing Stephen and married this wealthy mystery man, they would no longer need to be involved with the Cassidy family, and they wouldn't need to be concerned about any high-class families in the city. Mom, how would I know? I've never seen him before. All right, I understand. But for the sake of your reputation, we have to come up with a plan to kick Stephen out of our house. Mom, what nonsense are you saying? Kim didn't feel like talking to Natalie anymore. She grabbed her purse and left the house. Natalie went to the window and watched Kim make her way down the path. Don't worry, Kim. I'll take care of everything. This is for your own good. Kim seethed with anger as she walked towards the gates. Stephen told her that he would make it up to her, and he even said that he would give her the world if she wanted it. She didn't have any expectations, but she never thought that not only would he go back on his word, he would also be too afraid to show his face on an important day like today. She hadn't seen him since last night. Just where did that liar run off to? When Kim exited the gates, she was surprised to see Helen, Harry, and Rebecca sitting by the side of the road. Their fancy outfits made them look out of place. The moment Rebecca saw Kim, she stood up and ridiculed her. Kim, you're finally here. Now that you're the successor, are you tossing your family aside? You didn't even take Grandma with you. Kim felt a little guilty. Even though Helen was biased towards Harry, she was still her grandmother. Grandma, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were waiting outside. Helen glared at Kim as Harry helped her stand. I see how it is. You're treating me like this because you think I'm getting old and can't lead this family anymore. Forget it. We'll be holding a family meeting tomorrow afternoon. Remember to be on time. With that, Helen, Harry, and Rebecca got in the car and left. Kim was concerned about the meeting. The agenda was obviously her position as the successor of the family. In the car, Rebecca and Harry looked at Helen expectantly. Grandma, how are you planning to deal with Kim tomorrow? No need to worry. I'll make her regret what happened today. Later in the evening, Kim and Natalie were relaxing in the living room. Kim's younger sister, Amy Cassidy, was also home. Amy was a university student, and she came home to congratulate Kim on becoming the successor. Natalie narrated the day's events, starting from the press conference to their visit at the villas. Did you see the look on Harry and Rebecca's faces when your grandma announced that you're the successor? I should have taken a picture. After suffering for so many years, their family could finally stand tall in front of the Cassidy family. How could she not be excited? Amy was proud of Kim. You're amazing! But why would the heads of the elite families in the city help you? Also, who asked Roman to attend? You might not know this, but there's a very rich man who likes your sister. He's so rich that we can't even begin to fathom his wealth, Natalie said excitedly. She was looking forward to the day he would become Kim's new husband. Really? Then what are you waiting for, Kim? Hurry up and divorce Stephen. I can't stand seeing him around the house. While they were talking about Stephen, his voice came from the door. I'm back. Awkward silence filled the room. Natalie cleared her throat. Why are you shouting? Are you afraid that our neighbors don't know that Kim has a husband like you? Amy looked at Stephen with disdain. Didn't you tell Kim that you were going to give her a gift? What happened to that? Why haven't we seen a glimpse of this so-called gift yet? Stephen pretended like he didn't hear her. It wasn't the right time to reveal his identity. I'll go prepare dinner. Stephen took off his shoes and headed to the kitchen. Stop right there! Amy ran up to him and blocked his path. Today's your anniversary. Don't tell me you didn't prepare anything. Amy, watch your words, Kim said. Maybe Stephen really had prepared a gift for her. Maybe he wanted to give her a surprise. Kim looked at Stephen with a trace of expectation in her eyes, but her heart sank when she saw the helpless look on his face. Natalie started scolding him. You shameless man! You're always freeloading off of us. You couldn't be bothered to prepare something for your anniversary, and you were nowhere to be found when the Cassidy family was bullying Kim at the press conference. And you're only coming back now when she's become the successor? Do you even have a conscience? After knowing that a wealthy man was interested in Kim, Natalie felt like Stephen was even more incompetent than before. Even though Kim was angry, she didn't want to see Natalie scolding him. She hurried over to his side. Mom, calm down. Maybe Stephen has his reasons. Why are you getting so worked up? Is something the matter? Are you really asking me that? Don't think I don't know what happened at the company last week. This husband of yours declared that he would make it up to you, but he hasn't done anything. Even your anniversary doesn't mean anything to him. Kim, don't be swayed by his empty promises. You should just divorce him. As long as Kim divorced Stephen, she'd be able to marry the wealthy owner of Global Investment. Natalie couldn't wait to have a new son-in-law who wasn't Stephen. Amy agreed with her. Mom's right. Just divorce him. I want that super rich person to be my brother-in-law instead. Kim glared at Amy and Natalie. Be quiet. Don't bring up divorce in front of me again. It doesn't matter what you say. I won't divorce Stephen. Even though Kim had thought about divorcing him this morning, it was the fact that he had always been by her side for the past 3 years. And no matter how many times he was criticized or insulted, he never complained. She was a little disappointed in Stephen's cowardice, but as long as he didn't betray her, she would never divorce him. Amy couldn't accept this. She had always considered Kim her role model. Having a husband like Stephen was unacceptable. Kim, besides Stephen's looks, how can he possibly match up to you? He doesn't have a stable job, and he only knows how to live off of us. Do you really want someone like him as your husband? Regardless of what Stephen was like and whether he fulfilled his promises or not, Kim was more concerned that he still wasn't standing up for himself. When Stephen reached out to hold her hand, she pulled away. Stephen's heart clenched as he fell silent. After a pause, he turned around and faced Natalie. Mom, it'll take me at most half a year. I swear I'll become a son-in-law you'll be proud of. He would need half a year to prepare everything. When the time came, he would reveal his identity and make sure that no one looked down on Kim ever again. Don't call me Mom, Natalie said. She didn't know what Stephen meant by half a year, but she was already planning to kick him out in a month. The owner of Global Investment was more worthy of her daughter. Amy wasn't about to let Stephen change the topic. Fine, we all heard your promise. Don't go back on your word. Anyway, I asked if you prepared a gift for Kim. Yes or no? Tell us your answer. Everyone's gaze was on Stephen as they waited for his reply. Kim, I've actually already given you your gift. When the time is right, all of you will know what it is. Without another word, he went to the kitchen to prepare dinner. What did he give you? Amy asked curiously. Kim didn't have an answer. She hadn't seen Stephen all day. When could he have possibly given her a gift? It seemed like the only thing he'd learned all those years was how to lie. The next morning, Amy left right after breakfast to prepare for her lecture at the university. As for Natalie, it seemed like she was also busy, because she'd already left the house when everyone woke up. Kim and Stephen were having breakfast at the table. There's a family meeting today at the company. Come with me. Did something happen? Stephen asked, but he knew that it was because there were many people in the Cassidy family who weren't pleased that Kim had become the successor. It's obviously because of my position. I wonder if they're planning on forcing me to hand over the Moon of the Nile or the villa, or maybe they want something more important than those two things. Don't worry, Kim, it'll be fine. Stephen wasn't worried. Even if Kim were to hand over the necklace and her new house, he wouldn't let anyone touch them. After breakfast, Stephen sent Jack a text message before going to the sink to wash the dishes. When they arrived at the Cassidy Group's conference room, Harry came over to mock them. Hey, I didn't expect a coward like you to show your face in front of the family. The other members of the family joined in. They couldn't criticize Kim anymore, so they could only vent their anger on Stephen. Didn't you promise to make it up to your wife? Where were you yesterday? You don't understand. Because that piece of trash didn't make his move, someone else did it instead. Didn't you see those gifts yesterday? They're priceless. I'm not even surprised. Stephen lives off of his wife, so what could he have given her anyway? Stephen didn't have a reaction. Their criticisms fell on deaf ears. Is that all? If so, move aside. I want to take my seat. Harry smirked as Stephen and Kim made their way past the crowd and sat down. Just you wait. The moon of the Nile and the villa, everything will belong to me eventually, Harry thought. A short while later, Helen entered the room.
Is everyone here? First, I would like to say that yesterday's press conference was a success. It was unexpected, but many influential guests attended. However,
Helen paused and looked around the room. When her gaze fell on Kim, her eyes flickered with animosity.
However, yesterday's press conference also made it apparent that the Cassidy family and the elite families of the city are worlds apart. Therefore, I've decided to make our family stronger. We will use our resources to develop the Cassidy group.
Helen's short speech inspired the members of the family to pitch in. Harry was the first one to stand up and announce his contribution. Grandma, even though I didn't become the successor, I haven't forgotten that I'm a member of this family. I would like to support the development of the Cassidy Group and donate all of my assets. They're worth more than $20 million. When Harry sat down, he gave Kim and Stephen a complacent look. The rest of the family chimed in. The survival of the Cassidy family is imperative. I'll also be donating my assets. They're worth $10 million. I'll donate my entire fortune. It's around $8 million. I'll donate $5 million. If that's not enough, I can borrow more from my friends. Helen nodded approvingly.
Great. As expected of my Cassidy family.
Grandma, hold on, Harry called out. There seems to be someone in our family who hasn't said anything yet. Am I right, Kim? Harry smirked when everyone turned to Kim. It would only be a matter of time before she fell into his trap. Kim was embarrassed when Harry called her out. To tell you the truth, I don't have that much money. After yesterday, her total assets had increased significantly, but they consisted of a necklace and a villa. She didn't have anything that could be converted to cash because she was planning on finding an opportunity to return them to her patron. Helen and the rest of the family, with the exception of Stephen, were filled with righteous indignation. Harry took a chance to lecture her. What do you mean you don't have money? It was only yesterday when you became the successor. You're not dedicated to this family at all. Do you not want to donate them to the family because of your greed? Helen nodded in agreement.
Harry's right, Kim. The family is in trouble. Since you've the means, you should support us as best as you can. Also, you're the successor now. In the future, the Cassidy family will belong to you. Can't you do this much for your family?
Kim didn't know what to do. She'd already expected that Helen and Harry would force her into a corner. She didn't have assets of her own to help the family. If she didn't give up the necklace or the villa, she would lose the trust of the Cassidy family. Stephen looked at his watch and smiled. It was almost time. In the next second, someone burst into the conference room. It was one of the bodyguards from the international security company who had attended the press conference yesterday. The bodyguard held out an envelope to Helen. This letter is for you. After she took the envelope, the bodyguard left. Helen was suspicious as she opened the letter. As soon as she read the contents, she crumpled the paper and threw it on the table. Helen glared at Kim.
Just leave.
Kim didn't know what was written on the letter, but since the bodyguard from yesterday was the one who'd delivered it, she knew it was from her patron. But how did he know that her family would try to coerce her into giving up the necklace and the villa? Whatever the reason was, that wasn't important right now. Kim motioned to Stephen, and they both left the conference room before anyone could object.
Grandma, what happened? Kim was just about to give in. Why'd you let them go so easily?
Rebecca asked. Just a second longer, and she would have had the chance to live in a fancy villa, and she also would have been able to meet the wealthy owner of Global Investment. Grandma, what's written on the letter? Harry asked. When Helen didn't respond, he picked up the crumpled paper and smoothed it out on the surface of the table. There was one sentence written on the paper. No one is allowed to touch my gifts. I didn't expect him to protect Kim to this extent, Harry said through clenched teeth. Helen contemplated their next course of action. Their main problem was this mystery man. Kim would be nothing without his help.
Rebecca, if there's a chance for you to meet the owner of Global Investment, how confident are you in winning him over to your side?
80%, Rebecca declared confidently.
Even though everyone supported Kim yesterday, the owner of Global Investment never showed up. How do we know for sure that he's interested in Kim and not someone else? For example, me. After all, Kim's been married to Steven for 3 years.
Rebecca was making a wild guess, but she was confident in her appearance. Even though Kim was slightly more attractive, her figure was better than Kim's. Helen made up her mind. All right, I'll put aside my pride and visit Kim's place tonight. 1 hour later, Kim and Steven spotted an armored transport car parked at the entrance outside their house while they were on their way home. There were also dozens of people dressed in uniform standing guard. Kim was worried that something had happened. She hurried over to the group and explained that this was her house. After the group verified Kim and Steven's identities, they'd allowed them to enter. Mom, what happened? Kim asked as soon as she opened the door. To her surprise, Natalie was safe and sound, and she was all smiles as she chatted with her 2 guests. When Natalie saw Kim at the door, she ran up to her.
You're finally back. Did you see the armored car in front of the house? Doesn't it look intimidating?
Mom, what are you doing? Kim asked impatiently.
What does it look like I'm doing? It's all for you.
When Natalie made eye contact with Steven, who was standing behind Kim, she grabbed Kim's arm and pulled her to the living room.
I invited the president of a bank and a lawyer today. Let me introduce you to them.
Kim had no idea what Natalie was planning, but she mustered a small smile and greeted them. Hello, Miss Kim. Our bank provides excellent security services. If you leave the Moon of the Nile with us, we'll guarantee its safety, the president of the bank said. Kim suddenly understood the situation. This explained why the armored car was in front of their house. Mom, I'll take care of the necklace myself, so don't worry about it, Kim said as she headed to her room. A lot had happened yesterday and today, so she wanted some peace and quiet.
Wait, we're not done talking. You know how valuable that necklace is. It's worth $2 billion. That's an astronomical amount of money. If it were just our family in the house, there wouldn't be a problem. But there's also a shameless and greedy person living with us right now.
Natalie stared at Steven as she spoke. Her voice was full of disdain. Kim turned around and challenged her. Who are you talking about?
Who else could it be? I'm talking about Steven. Look at his shifty eyes and his relaxed attitude. Even though he's your husband, at the end of the day, he's an outsider. We have to be careful.
Kim was frustrated with Natalie's false accusations. Mom, Steven's not like... Just as Kim was about to speak up for Steven, he pulled her on her sleeve. It's okay, just let her do what she wants. It's true that the necklace is valuable. It'd be safer to leave it at the bank. Steven understood why Natalie was being cautious, but he was the one who gave Kim the necklace in the first place. There was no way he'd steal his own gift, or anything from Kim for that matter. Kim took a deep breath to calm down. Fine, I'll do as you say. Kim gestured to the lawyer. What about him? Why is he here? Natalie was pleased that Kim was willing to compromise about the necklace. It was time to move on to the next order of business.
He's here with a contract. It's important to be clear-cut about your assets since you're married.
Natalie had invited the lawyer here to make Kim and Steven sign an agreement. The contract stated that Kim had full ownership of her assets. They belonged to her, not her husband. Kim was even more upset than when Natalie suggested the possibility of Steven stealing the Moon of the Nile. He had worked hard all of these years, but Natalie was keeping tabs on him like he was a thief. Kim tried to talk to Natalie calmly. Mom, I agreed to keep the necklace at the bank, but I won't accept this agreement.
Why do you have so much faith in him? Kim, don't be fooled by his good looks and his empty promises. He's been with us for 3 years, and he's never earned enough money to contribute. He lives here for free, and he also eats here for free. Don't forget that you're the future head of the Cassidy family. If you don't sign this contract, he might take everything from you in the future. Upon hearing this, the president of the bank and the lawyer couldn't help but look at Steven with disdain. Kim crossed her arms and refused to give in. No matter what, I won't sign this contract. Steven had been quiet for some time, but he suddenly went up to the lawyer and asked him for the contract. I've never seen one of these before. Can I have a look? The lawyer took out a copy of the contract from his briefcase and gave it to him. Steven looked the contract over, and in one smooth motion, he picked up a pen from the table and signed his name.
By the time Kim realized what he was doing, it was already too late to stop him. "Why did you sign that?" Stephen smiled and waved the contract in his hand. "I already signed it, but I have one condition." Natalie looked at him in disapproval. "I knew you wouldn't sign it so easily. Kim, this is what he's really like. He's finally showing his true colors. Okay, tell us, how much do you want?" "I don't need money. My condition is to add one sentence to this contract. All properties under Stephen Adams' name will belong to Kim." Everyone in the room was dumbfounded. "Properties? What properties do you even have? Don't act like you have assets of your own," Natalie said. The lawyer had already guessed from his brief discussion with Natalie that Stephen was the useless son-in-law of the Cassidy family. How could he have any properties under his name? But if this was how Stephen wanted to play, then who was he to refuse? "In that case, please email me a list of your assets." Stephen agreed and took out his phone to send Jack a message. He told Jack to email a small list of his assets to the lawyer. Stephen was afraid that if he revealed too much of what he owned, his identity would be exposed. Maybe even the smallest would put him at risk. He whispered to the lawyer, "Considering your occupation, you're aware that secrecy is important in your field, right?" "No need to worry," the lawyer said mockingly. Even a good-for-nothing husband like Stephen knew how to talk like he was all that. It made him seem like he was secretly a billionaire. But when the lawyer opened his email, he couldn't believe what he saw. Stephen's assets were worth an incredible amount. The lawyer gave Stephen a suspicious look. Who exactly was he? By the time everything was settled, it was already evening. All of a sudden, Natalie shrieked in surprise. Kim and Stephen rushed into the living room. "What happened?" Natalie was pale as she clutched her phone. "Your grandma's on the way here. What should we do? Why is she coming over? What did we do wrong? Your dad isn't in the city right now, so we'll have to deal with her by ourselves." Helen was the person Natalie was afraid of the most. Whenever she saw Helen, she would be too scared to say a word. "Stephen, do you think Grandma's coming to pressure me into giving up the necklace and the villa?" Kim asked worriedly. "No, it should be the opposite. If I'm not wrong, she should be coming to ask us for a favor," Stephen said in a low voice. Kim couldn't understand. "That's impossible. Grandma's prideful and arrogant. She usually never visits us. Whenever she wants to talk to me in person, she always calls me over to her house. Why would she be coming here to ask us for something? It's more likely she's coming to criticize us." Before Stephen could respond, the doorbell rang. Natalie put her phone on the table and rushed to open the door. Helen was standing outside. Natalie invited her in with a smile, but she didn't dare to look at her in the eye. Helen didn't reply. She merely nodded and walked past Natalie. Everyone was gathered in the living room. Natalie was nervous. She folded her hands on her lap. "You didn't have to come here personally. If you wanted to see us, we could have paid you a visit."
"It's not a big deal. To be honest, I'm here because I have something to ask of Kim. Please hear me out."
Helen was the head of the Cassidy family, and she had never asked anyone for a favor in such a respectful manner. Natalie tensed when she heard Helen say the word please. Helen was actually begging Kim for a favor. Natalie never thought this day would come. "Grandma, if you have anything to say, there's no need to hesitate. I'll do what I can as long as I have the means to help," Kim said. It was difficult for Helen to get the words out.
I was wondering if you could maybe ask the owner to let me stay at the villa he gave you as a gift."
Helen was filled with shame as soon as she finished her sentence. She couldn't believe she had to put her pride aside for the villa. After a brief silence, Kim said, "I'm sorry, Grandma, but I can't do that." Natalie looked at Kim in shock. This was Helen, the current head of the Cassidy family. How could she refuse so directly? Helen frowned. She hadn't expected Kim to turn her down. She had already swallowed her pride to come here to ask for a favor. How dare Kim refuse? Kim quickly explained herself. "Grandma, that villa isn't mine. I have to ask the owner for permission, and I've never met him before." Doubt was written all over Helen's face.
"Are you saying you don't know who the owner is?"
"Yes," Kim answered honestly.
"That can't be true. He gave you the villa as a gift. Surely you have a way to contact him, right?"
Kim shook her head. She wanted to know his identity more than anyone else. Helen suppressed her anger and put her hands on top of her walking stick.
I'll give you 30 million. That should be fine, right?
Natalie leaned over to Kim and warned her to choose her words carefully in a low voice. It was clear that Helen was on the verge of exploding with anger. When Kim didn't say anything, Helen slammed her hand on the table.
Kim, now that I've named you as the successor, do you think you could disrespect me just because I'm old?
Kim bit her lip. No, that's not it.
Good. As long as you agree to let me live there, the Cassidy Group's vice president position will be yours,
Helen said through clenched teeth. She'd originally wanted to give Harry this position, but she didn't have a choice since Kim was dragging out the situation. Once Rebecca met the owner of Global Investment and won him over to their side, she would make Kim pay tenfold for the humiliation she suffered today. Stephen sent Keisha a short message. It's a deal. Kim looked over at him in confusion.
Didn't the owner of Global Investment give you that villa? Why don't you call Keisha and ask her?
Stephen suggested with a smile. Contacting Keisha had crossed Kim's mind, but she didn't know if letting someone else stay at the villa would be out of line. Kim glanced at Helen, who was seething with anger. Since things had to come to this, she could only try. Kim gave Keisha a call. Miss Keisha, I'm sorry for calling so late. There's something I would like to ask. As Kim politely told Keisha her request, her face burned with embarrassment. It felt like she was begging Keisha for money. To Kim's surprise, Keisha easily agreed.
That's fine. As long as your grandmother keeps her promise, she can stay in one of the villas at the first level.
Kim's phone was on speaker, so Helen heard the entire conversation. Keisha was threatening her.
Fine, it's a deal.
With that, Helen stormed out of the house. Natalie was relieved when Helen finally left. She turned to Kim with pride in her eyes.
Kim, you're amazing! Did you see her face when you stood up to her?
When Helen returned to the Cassidy family's villa, Rebecca couldn't wait to ask her how it turned out. The outcome might change her life forever.
Grandma, did Kim agree?
Helen slammed her walking stick on the floor and vented the anger that she'd been holding in.
I can't believe she's treating her own grandmother like this.
Helen had never faced such humiliation in her life. Rebecca was startled and decided to keep quiet. Helen turned to Harry.
I had to give Kim the vice president position to make her agree to let us live at one of the villas. But don't worry, she won't be able to enjoy her new position. I'll make sure of that.
For the past few days, Natalie had been telling Kim that she wanted to move into the villa at the highest point in the city. Kim was fed up with her persistent complaints and had no choice but to agree. Kim felt a little awkward as she discussed this with Stephen. Mom really wants us to move into the villa. What do you think? Stephen agreed with a smile. Sure, I don't mind. It'll be a nice change. Okay, we'll move tomorrow, Kim replied casually, but in her heart, she was somewhat disappointed. She was worried that suggesting to move into the villa that a wealthy business owner had gifted her would be a huge blow to Stephen's self-esteem and pride. But it seemed like her concern was unnecessary. As a matter of fact, it felt like Stephen didn't care at all. Maybe he didn't have self-esteem nor pride to begin with. Or maybe he just doesn't care about me, Kim thought with a sigh. Early the next morning, everyone was in a frenzy as they rushed to finish packing. Amy was also home to prepare for the move. She was absent-mindedly packing her things into bags. Kim noticed that something was bothering her. Is there something wrong? No, I'm just tired. I went to bed late last night. Kim watched Amy hide in the corner and pack her things. There was definitely something going on. They finished packing at noon. Aside from their valuables, everything else would be delivered by the moving company. When they arrived at the villa, the staff lined up and welcomed them. The staff had cleaned the villa and put up decorations for their move. The security guards were also waiting for them. They hurried over to help Stephen and Kim with their bags. Natalie was annoyed when the security guards ignored her.
Do you need to get your eyes checked? Can't you see how many bags I'm carrying?
To her surprise, the security guards pretended like they didn't hear her. They took Stephen and Kim's bags into the house. From the beginning until the end of the move, they didn't spare Natalie a single glance, as if she was invisible. Natalie glared at the security guards as they left the house. When I get the chance, I'll get rid of all of you, she thought. When the four of them were alone in the house, Natalie waved to Kim, gesturing for her to sit next to her. "Is this really our home?" "That's right," Kim said as she looked around. The home had been decorated according to her preferences. How did her patron know her so well? "Is that all you have to say? Tell me, do you and the owner of Global Investments have something going on? If not, why would he give you this house and the Moon of the Nile?" "Mom, don't talk nonsense. I've never even seen him before." Kim subconsciously glanced at Stephen. She was relieved that he hadn't heard what Natalie said. "I don't care. The only son-in-law in my heart is the owner of Global Investment. Kim, he's treating you so well. Why aren't you getting divorced yet? What are you waiting for?" Before Natalie could continue, she shut her mouth when she saw the frustrated look on Kim's face. "Mom, if you keep talking nonsense, I'll return this house to him and we'll move out." Kim looked at Stephen apologetically. He gave her a shrug as if he didn't care. Kim was confused by his indifference. Shouldn't he at least be a little unhappy that they were living in a house from some other man? "Fine. If you don't want me to talk about it, then I won't," Natalie said. Even though she was giving in on the surface, she was secretly thinking about how to get rid of Stephen. As for Amy, she was in a much better mood than this morning. Their new house was luxurious and beautiful. "Mom, have you decided on the rooms yet? I want to know which room is mine." Natalie had already thought about their living arrangements a while back. She answered right away. "I'll be living in the master bedroom. None of you have any objections, right? I've worked hard for this family day and night." Natalie was happy when no one said anything. "Kim, the first room in the corridor is yours. The view is great. You can see the entire garden from there. Amy, you'll be in the room next to your sister." When Natalie looked at Stephen, her smile disappeared. "You've even followed us to this house. How shameless can you be? I noticed there's a small room near the balcony. You can live there." Kim was not pleased to hear that. The room near the balcony was much smaller than the other rooms in the house. The bed took up most of the space, and there was no room to put anything else inside. How was Stephen supposed to stay there? "Mom, what are you saying? There's another room available." Natalie looked at Stephen in disgust. He was blocking Kim's path to success. "So what? He should be grateful that he even has a room. I really don't know if he's stupid or just faking it. How could he have followed us here when he's never contributed anything to our family?" Stephen crossed his arms. "It doesn't matter where I stay, but shouldn't Kim stay in the master bedroom? What would the owner of Global Investment think if he came here to visit and found out that you took over her room?" Natalie was planning on arguing, but after thinking it over, she realized that his words made sense. The owner of Global Investments had given this house to Kim as a gift, so the master bedroom should be hers. Natalie was hesitant, but she decided to give up the master bedroom. Kim didn't care either way, but she couldn't ignore what Stephen said. He made it sound like he didn't care if the owner of Global Investment visited the house and lived with them. At this time, Helen, Harry, and Rebecca were moving into the villa at the first level. Rebecca was amazed by the interior. Their old house was like an abandoned barn compared to this place. Helen was satisfied. Even though this wasn't the villa at the very top, it was one of the villas at the highest point in the city nonetheless. "Grandma, the houses on the first level are already this nice. If we go further, wouldn't they be even more luxurious? Especially the house at the top," Harry said. He didn't bother hiding his greed.
"There's no need to rush. This is just the first step. Sooner or later, that house will be ours. Anyway, Rebecca, have you thought about how to get close to the owner of Global Investment?" "Don't worry, Grandma. I already have a plan. I'll start tomorrow morning."
Helen smirked as she touched the lion that was decorated on her walking stick.
"That's good to hear. Rebecca will be in charge of winning that man's favor, while Harry will be responsible for the preparations. We'll take action after Kim becomes the vice president."
The next morning, Natalie went out bright and early to buy furniture. Stephen, Kim, and Amy were the only ones at the breakfast table. Kim frowned when she noticed Amy's dark circles. "Did you not sleep well last night?" Amy stuffed a slice of bread into her mouth. "It's probably because we just moved. I was too excited to sleep." "Kim, I heard Amy talking to someone in the middle of the night. I think she's in a relationship," Stephen teased. Natalie wasn't home, so he didn't have to mind his words as much. Amy took a sip of water before slamming the cup on the table.
Don't you know it's rude to eavesdrop on other people? Also, don't call me Amy. People will think we're close. I lost my appetite. I'm going to school.
Amy grabbed her bag and left the house, slamming the door behind her. Kim gave him an apologetic look. She's been in a bad mood lately. Don't mind her. Stephen shrugged. He wasn't that bothered by Kim's unruly family. It's fine, I'm used to it. All right, it's time for me to go to work. If you don't have any plans today, stay home and tidy the house. As soon as Kim finished her sentence, she hurried out the door. Stephen chuckled as he brought the dishes to the sink. As expected, I'm the most idle person in this family. Just then, someone rang the doorbell. Stephen wondered who it could be. It was still early. He didn't think too much as he opened the door, but he didn't expect to see Rebecca waiting outside. Stephen sighed. Why is it you? Rebecca put her hands on her hips. She was wearing a low-cut, tight dress to accentuate her curves.
What's with that look on your face? Are you disappointed to see me?
Stephen didn't bat an eye at her revealing outfit. Why are you here? Without answering, Rebecca inched closer, but before she could lean against him, he took a step back. Rebecca stumbled and almost tripped on the doorstep. Stephen didn't know what tricks she had up her sleeve, but he didn't want to find out either. If you don't have anything to say, then please leave. Rebecca regained her balance and pretended like she wasn't embarrassed.
Stephen, you don't know a good opportunity when you see one. I'm here to discuss a business deal with you.
Stephen didn't have any plans today, so he supposed he could use his free time to figure out what Rebecca was up to. What business could we possibly have to discuss? I'm just a lowly son-in-law of the Cassidy family.
Why would I tell you about it out in the open? Aren't you going to invite me inside?
Rebecca brushed past him and took a seat on the couch. She was impressed by the luxurious furnishings. As expected of the villa at the very top, she thought. Stephen wasn't in the mood to entertain her. If you have something to say, then hurry up. Rebecca leaned forward to give him a clear view of her chest.
Before we talk business, I want to ask you a question. Why do you think the owner of Global Investment treats Kim so well?
Stephen kept his gaze on Rebecca's face. He didn't answer her.
Fine. If you don't know, I'll enlighten you. It's because he's using Kim to get close to me. The person he has feelings for is me, and he doesn't have the courage to confess.
That was the last thing Stephen expected to hear. When did he have a crush on Rebecca? Having feelings for someone like her and not having the courage to confess were an insult to his reputation. What did you just say?
I'm right, aren't I? I admit that Kim is prettier than me, but she's been married for 3 years. Aside from Kim, who else in the family is as attractive as me? It doesn't make sense for him to be interested in Kim when she's already married. No matter how you look at it, it's impossible. Also, he didn't show up at the press conference. What if he mistook Kim for me? Knowing all this, the only explanation is that the person he likes is me.
Stephen was dumbfounded by Rebecca's logic, and a little impressed at how she came to such a ridiculous conclusion. He wondered how her brain was wired. Stephen tried to hold back his laughter and responded in a serious voice. Well, even if what you said is true, what do you want me to do about it?
I want you to be my informant. Help me keep an eye on Kim, and let me know when this mystery man shows up. Besides, you don't want this guy hanging around your wife anyway, right?
Rebecca was confident that as long as she had an opportunity to meet him, he would switch sides at the drop of a hat. Stephen pretended to be interested in her offer. What do I get out of this? Rebecca glared at him.
What do you mean? I'll be helping you resolve your problem. What more do you want?
I won't do anything if it doesn't benefit me. Stephen walked to the door and held it open. You can leave now. Rebecca didn't expect this good-for-nothing son-in-law to be this cunning.
Fine, I'll give you 500,000.
Stephen shook his head. Nope.
1 million.
I can inform you of his whereabouts, and I can also find information on his family background, likes and dislikes, social circle, and other things. 1 million isn't enough. Rebecca stood up from the couch in frustration. She had picked out this sexy dress to seduce Stephen into helping her for free, But who would have thought that he would turn the tables on her? She was being cheated.
$2 million. I can't give you any more than that.
Deal, $2 million it is. Rebecca scribbled a check and threw it on the floor.
You better remember what you promised me. Otherwise, I won't let you off.
Stephen laughed. Don't worry. What could be more trustworthy than a $2 million deal? Rebecca walked past him and left the house. He's nothing but trash. Wait until that man and I get married. Then I'll deal with him, she thought. After Stephen closed the door, he picked up the check and shoved it in his pocket. He didn't need $2 million. He only accepted Rebecca's deal to make her lose money and get back at her for criticizing Kim. Stephen wondered how Rebecca would react when she discovered that he was the owner of Global Investment. The look on her face would be priceless. Kim returned home from work in the evening. Grandma wasn't lying to me. I was promoted to vice president today. I have to work harder from now on. But Harry was acting strange. Instead of being angry, he came to my office and congratulated me. He even took the initiative to teach me the ropes. What are the chances he wants to reconcile with me? Slim to none. He's probably scheming something, Stephen said. For the past 3 years, he had witnessed firsthand how sly Helen and Harry could be. It didn't make sense for them to compromise so easily. I didn't think so either. What do you think they're planning? Kim asked. She wasn't that skilled at coming up with elaborate schemes, and she wasn't confident that she could win against Helen and Harry. Who knows? You don't have to worry, though. Even though Stephen didn't know exactly what Harry and Helen were trying to do, their schemes would be nothing more than child's play. If they dared to cross the line, he wouldn't hesitate to ruin the entire Cassidy group. The next day, Stephen took Kim to work on his bike. Before they parted ways in front of the company, he told Kim that he wanted to buy a car. That's a good idea. It'll be more convenient for you to get around. Why don't you take a look and call me later for the money? Without waiting for his reply, Kim hurried into the building. After she left, Stephen rode his bike to a well-known car center. He decided that he would buy a Porsche to start off. He didn't want to be too high-profile. After chaining his bike, he went inside. An employee greeted him at the entrance. Hello, how can I help you? I'm just here to take a look. When Stephen was about to inspect the cars, he remembered that his friend John was in the car-selling business. They used to be colleagues who delivered food until John found a new job. Back when they worked together, they were the poorest in the team. Whenever life was tough, they encouraged each other. They were two friends who bonded from the hardships in life. After Stephen gave John a call, he arrived in 10 minutes. They met outside the car center. Stephen, I'm really sorry. I've just been promoted to manager, and I'm busy with all kinds of things. My head is spinning from the workload. Stephen hadn't seen John in 2 years. He looked completely different from before. If they passed each other on the streets, Stephen might not have recognized him. Stephen was sincerely happy for his old friend. Congratulations! Promotions are a good thing. It's not that big of a deal. What about you? What have you been up to? Same as before. Nothing much has changed. I see, John said. When he glanced behind Stephen and saw his bike, his smile fell. John was actually the manager of this car center. His colleagues and customers were inside, and he didn't want to be seen with someone who delivered meals for a living. John forced another smile. Did you come to introduce me to a customer? Stephen noticed the change in John's attitude. It felt like he wasn't as sincere as before. No, I'm here to... John cut him off. If not, you should head home. I'll treat you to a drink next time. John was annoyed that Stephen had called him to waste his time. Just as he turned to leave, Stephen called out to him. Wait, I'm actually here to buy a car. John shook his head. He thought that was ridiculous. Are you serious? Do you know what kind of car center this is? Stop messing with me and leave. I don't have as much free time as you. Stephen didn't say anything. He walked past John and entered the car center. If John didn't want to help him select a car, then he would have to ask someone else. Stephen spoke to the same employee who had greeted him earlier. I'd like to see your selection. The employee nodded and asked him to follow her. Just then, John burst into the car center. Stop! The employee was startled to see her manager all of a sudden. She quickly greeted him. Sarah, how many times have I told you? You need to have a good eye for people. Our job is to sell luxury cars. Not just anyone can afford them. Don't waste your time on him.
But he's a potential customer, and we should treat him with respect.
Before Sarah could finish, John interrupted her. Even if he is a customer, that doesn't mean he's worth our time. Do you know what he does for a living? He delivers meals. How can he afford to purchase one of our cars? Stephen frowned when John lectured his employee, even though she was just trying to do her job. Moreover, it seemed like he didn't care about keeping up pretenses anymore. John, are you sure you don't want to do business with me?
Hi, I'm Steven.
Want to know my secrets?
Then download the Pocket FM app and listen to the exciting episodes of Secret Succession now.